Aeschylus was born in ancient Greece during the 6th and 5th centuries before the Common Era. His plays are the oldest surviving, and some of the most influential and most commendable ever written. Although a discussion of his style and philosophical messages is saved for the conclusion of the series, on this video you may learn about one of the plays that are attributed to him, the Libation Bearers. This play is the second in the trilogy regarding Orestes. Remember that in the prior the mother of Orestes kills his father, Agamemnon. As a result, this play begins with Orestes lamenting over his father's grave. He wallows about not having been present at his death. As he speaks, a chorus of women, with his sister Electra, enter the scene. Orestes and his yet-to-speak companion Pylades conceal themselves nearby enough so as to overhear what these women say. The chorus sings a lamentation describing the essential facts of the prior play. When Electra speaks, she asks the chorus for counsel on what she should say, what she should supplicate, as she makes a libation to her father's grave. The ceremony consists of pouring wine on the ground. The chorus tells Electra to implore the aid or good fortune of all who hate Aegisthus, Clytemnestra's new lover. Specifically, to implore the coming of a man, a superman, that will avenge Agamemnon's death. On this point, Electra asks,
"I can as this, and not be wrong in the gods' eyes?"
The chorus leader replies,
"Of course, to hurt your enemy when he struck first."
This exchange basically alludes or foreshadow the coming theme and development of the story. It is funny as the whole is basically an inquiry on the morality or valuation of revenge. More on that later. Electra makes her libation, and she also complains about her own misfortune and the injustice of her own mother and new lover.
"We have been sold, and go as wanderers because our mother bought herself, for us, a man, Aegisthus, he who helped her hand to cut you down. Now I am what a slave is, and Orestes lives outcast from his great properties, while they go proud in the high style and luxury of what you work to win."
Then, she notices someone has left a strand of hair on Agamemnon's tomb. To be clear, this would be a most sympathetic offering. As the chorus asks her why she is surprised, Electra mentions that the hair could be her own, that it must be Orestes, her brother. He has been missing for some time, and she does not know if he is safe. I found the following declaration most noteworthy.
"The bitter wash has surged upon my heart as well. I am struck through, as by the cross stab of a sword, and from my eyes the thirsty and unguarded drops burst in a storm of tears like winter rain, as I look on this strand of hair."
What I call an aphorism could be made with this, but it will take some thought. Electra also notices footprints, whose size further convinces her that Orestes must have made a visit. At that point, the latter comes forward from his place of concealment. Electra does not initially recognize him, which segues a jocular exchange wherein Orestes reveals his identity through insinuations. Once he admits his identity, Electra says,
"All the love I could have borne my mother turns your way."
After their subsequent rejoicing, Orestes describes how a prophet speaking for Apollo has tasked him with enacting vengeance for his father's assassination. I found this funny not only because it is a verification that the gods approve of vengeance, but also because if I remember correctly, Apollo sided with the Trojans. Should he not rejoice at Agamemnon's assassination? Anyways, Orestes also mentions that he was warned that if he does not, or fails to, enact his vengeance, then he will be punished by the god. Basically, his hands are tied by divinity to that which he would most wish to do anyways. LOL. On top of that, he mocks Aegisthus, his mother's new lover, for having the heart of a woman. I found this curious as there does not seem to be any justification or elaboration for the intended derisive analogy. The chorus, Orestes, and Electra sing a song in which revenge is justified. The chorus starts with,
"Let hate be a word fulfilled, the spirit of right cries out aloud and extracts atonement due. Blood stroke for the stroke of blood shall be paid, who acts, shall suffer, so speaks the voice of the age-old wisdom."
The song continues with Orestes and Electra basically daydreaming about a different fate and destiny. That would be common to all sufferers. Skipping ahead, Electra sings a jocular line.
"For we are bloody like the wolf and savage born from the savage mother."
It seems out of a heavy metal song, LOL. At last, no longer singing, Orestes asks, as if to the spirit of his father, for permission to take the throne. Electra in turn asks for their future murder to go without repercussion. They implore for the spirit of Agamemnon to appear, but it does not. Instead, for some reason, the chorus mentions a dream that Clytemnestra once had. They explain that in the dream Clytemnestra gave birth to a snake-like monster. She in turn treated it as a child and even gave it milk from her breast. On this, the point is made that it was milk with blood as the monster tore her flesh. After this story, Orestes expresses his hopes that the dream is a prophecy that foreshadows his future actions. He says,
I turned snake to kill her. This is what the dream speaks loudly.
This is some rather edgy drama. Brother and sister gathering the strength to kill their mother. Orestes tells Electra and the chorus to go back and to speak to no one about their intentions. He in turn, disguised as an outlander, with the aid of his friend Pylades, will go and carry out the deed himself. All these characters exit the scene and the chorus sings about tragedy itself. Yes, for example, it says,
But who can recount all the high daring in the will of man, and in the stubborn hearts of women the all-adventurous passions that couple with man's overthrow?
They exemplify that thought by referencing various tragedies. I could not possibly explain these in detail, as this is intended to be a short summary. Consider how one of the references is to the island of Lemnos. This is described in Herodotus' 5th book, which you may also learn on this channel. Let me move past this section of the play by mentioning that the end of the song yielded a very nice aphorism.
Fairness may be the anvil, but envy is the hammer that forges the blade of vengeance.
Of course, this is far from Aeschylus' writing. The sentence was merely engendered by it. Regardless, I love it. Back to the play, Orestes and Pylades enter the scene. The former knocks on the door of the palace and tells an answering voice that he is a stranger bearing news. Clytemnestra appears. Orestes lies to her in saying that he is a traveler and that in his travels someone asked him to deliver some news to the king and queen of Argos. The news is supposed to be that Orestes himself is dead. Clytemnestra pretends to be sad as in the previous play. She asks for the disguised Orestes and his friend to be given hospitality and for Aegisthus to be called so that he may hear the news himself. The queen exits the scene and soon enough a new character, a nurse or maid, enters. This one expresses in lamentation the love she had for the now dead Orestes. A child, she claims, she raised on her own. She says this unbeknownst to her, to the very man whose death she is lamenting. In the passage, she also makes clear the queen's, the mother of Orestes, true feelings. She says of her,
She put a sad face on before the servants, to hide the smile inside her eyes over this work that has been done so happily for her.
In the end, she reproaches the new master of the house, Aegisthus. Perhaps because of all her lamentations, the chorus takes the liberty of insisting to this nurse to bring the king without the company of any armed guards. The nurse is not told exactly why, but she agrees to do it under the suggestion that it will redeem her current wallows. The nurse leaves and the chorus sings what I gather to be a long-winded prayer for Zeus' aid in the coming struggle. After the song, Aegisthus enters the scene unarmed and alone. He pretends sorrow at the news, goes inside the dwelling wherein he expects to speak to the travelers, and soon enough a cry of pain is heard from within. A follower of Aegisthus shows up declaring sorrowfully the death of the tyrant. Clytemnestra appears and answering her inquiry, the follower says,
I tell you, the living are being killed by the dead ones.
To this the queen replies,
So, you speak in riddles, but I read rhyme. We have been one with the treachery by which we slew.
I liked that exchange. Orestes threatens his own mother with death. This one pleads for her life by references to pity and motherly love. Orestes asks his friend for advice, and the latter replies what I have turned into.
He who is false to his oaths fears mortal men more than he fears God.
LOL, the same idea and an allusion to the subsequent events is invoked in the exchange.
Take care, your mother's curse, like dogs, will drag you down.
How shall I escape my father's curse, if I fail here?
Remember, Orestes swore vengeance on his father's grave. Thus, upon Orestes' refusal, Clytemnestra calls him the snake from her aforementioned dream, and Orestes replies by asserting the justice of vengeance, its fairness. Pylades helps Orestes take Clytemnestra into the palace. The chorus sings about the righteousness of the deed. Then the doors of the palace open to reveal Orestes standing over the dead, bloody corpses of Aegisthus and Clytemnestra. There are attendants besides displaying the bloody net-like garment or robe with which Clytemnestra killed Agamemnon. To be clear, the queen had used the garment to hold back the king's face as she sawed his throat. Regardless, the juxtaposition of the images, how she was revealed over the corpses of Agamemnon and Cassandra, how he is now revealed over the bodies of Clytemnestra and Aegisthus, it is all meant to be quite striking. And I cannot simulate it with my limited knowledge of computers. LOL. Orestes presents the bodies to the audience in derision and, among other things, says,
They swore together death for my unhappy sire and swore to die together. Now they keep their oath.
Orestes tells the servants to display the garment, and what ensues basically introduces the theme and many of the events of the next play. Orestes says that for
Aegisthus' death I take no count. He has his seducer's punishment, no more than law.
As for his mother, he says a lot of things. In the end he says,
May no such partner as she was come to live with me, sooner, let God destroy me, with no children born.
His main moral defense is that the seer, the prophet, told him that Apollo commanded it. Nonetheless, soon enough, Orestes begins, freaking out. He speaks of otherwise invisible gorgons, wearing black robes, covered with snakes, haunting him. These are the Furies. Much scarier in description than in any painting. At one point, Orestes says,
Lord Apollo, how they grow and multiply, repulsive for the blood drops of their dripping eyes.
Orestes thus leaves the scene running in fear, and the chorus sings a brief summary of the tale thus far. Remember, this is the middle portion of a trilogy. If you don't know how Clytemnestra killed Agamemnon, or if you wish to know what is going to happen to Orestes now that the Furies are haunting him, then either watch the prior or the next video. On this channel you may watch videos outlining all of Aeschylus' plays. That includes the plays of eternal renown such as The Suppliant Maidens or Prometheus Bound. Now, to pique your curiosity, to motivate you to watch the last video of the series, I gift you a teaser sample of one of the many aphorisms I crafted as I read this author.
Turning lead into gold is not a daydream. No, rather daydreams are lead turned to gold.
If you enjoy or gain from my aphorisms, know that I have thousands. I will be writing books with short thematic essays composed out of aphorisms. These essays are profound and intriguing yet easy to read. For very cheap copies, look up Protagoras Pause in the Amazon website. I repeat, Protagoras Pause, that's my name.